What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Paladins Console League, specifically the North America region. Now, we had some great Europe matches to start off the day, but now we're swapping sides and moving into the NA side of things. Of course, I'm Dolson. Joining me for our third set of the day on the desk, Nick Pretty Hair Keo. Gonna be a fun one. We got ourselves Onslaught and Stremex in this one.
Certainly do.
Used to be kind of a two-horse race in this region, when Nemesis was around and kind of at their full strength. But as of late, it's really been Onslaught, and though Stremex has made some strides as well.
This has definitely been one of the more, fostering environments for actual, competitive nature. A lot of times you look over at the North American Xbox region and you see Elevate just kind of destroying everybody. And so people have taken refuge from the storm, if you will, in this region in particular. And so we have had some good matches in this one in Phase 1 as well. Onslaught is going to lead your region here 3-0, 7 map differential in the plus-minus, 1 and 2 for Stremex. So they certainly have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, everyone at least getting their win over heating up and then kind of reverse standings order. First place got 3, 2 for second, 1 for third, and then 0 down there in fourth place. So, I mean, if standings are any indication, you obviously give Onslaught sort of the nod here in this one. They've got a good roster, though. I mean, if they continue to perform, continue to grow and kind of come together as a team, they'll be feeling pretty good, moving towards LAN and moving towards the high-res Expo qualifiers, all that sort of fun stuff. And, I kind of mentioned it on the PCL desk to close out this last week. We're in week 4 now. After this week, we're a third of the way done. I mean, you only have 2 more 4-week blocks until we get there. So some of these, plus minuses really start to add up. I mean, even if you're in second or third place, though, still enough time to fight your way back into it. But you really have to be cognizant of a lot of these 3-0s. That starts to add up very, very quickly.
Yeah, you look at the Premier League and those records not resetting. Some of the situations those teams are in are already mathematically pretty grim. Console League was fortunate to have that reset, so if any last-second adjustments you wanted to make to finally push towards HRX, you could have done so. But like you mentioned, when you're not winning, getting close to halfway through the split, I don't think things would ever turn around fast enough for you to actually make a difference.
Well, Onslaught will look to continue their onslaught throughout the rest of the day today. Let's take a look at the map bans. Onslaught taking away Serpent Beach, Fish Market gone as well. See, I love Fish Market. People don't like it. Stone Keep, Timber Mill, both off of the board. So Fish Market, Timber Mill from Stremex.
What do you like about Fish Market?
Envy win on it a lot. I don't know. I like the kind of those out there maps. Maybe you only see them every once in a while. I know a lot of people really don't like Fish Market. It's kind of a grueling map to push on. Also kind of to defend on, depending on where you are. We see where we can't play. Jaguar Falls is where we can play and where we will play. Map number 1. We saw a little triple tank on here in our last set. You had the, I think it was Atlas, Khan, and Barrack maybe paired with the Tyra and the Grover.
Oh boy,
that's a lot to deal with. Fun map though. You kind of see these big circly death balls. Grover's been a big healer. That's come into a lot of lineups today.
Yeah, Grover's definitely been on the upswing, not as a result of any changes, really. I think maybe when you start to see more frontliners make it through, he just passively becomes a little bit better, a little bit stronger. But even in PC, where frontlines aren't making it through in the droves that they have been in console, you still see a decent amount of Grover. Speak his name, and he shall appear first, locked in for Onslaught, which might be giving away a little bit of what they're trying to do.
And I think that's probably why Stremex ended up going Tyra Atlas in this case, though. So, I mean, a lot still on the board over there for Stremex. I mean Tyra as well. I mean, Grover if you're looking at the healer category, but Tyra if you're looking at the damage dealer kind of category, that triple DPS, triple tank, whatever you want to make it work with. Tyra can fit into any of those roles. Yeah. But then also just in a traditional composition, Tyra is so strong. A lot of it's on the back of Hunting Party. But she makes so much work around her. So I think a good first 2 picks from Stremex here.
Absolutely. Tyra helps uplift everybody else. Even you could look at Grover, right? His damage is already kind of borderline decent for a support. You throw a Hunting Party in there, and it becomes something to factor into the equation. Fernando and Makoa are going to be locked in here.
Is that new art?
I think it is new art.
I was going to say, that does not look like old Fernando.
Definitely.
It's a great new draft on the back end. Anthony is who we have to thank for that one. Good new look for Fernando. in this case. Drogos and Nara, the next two locked in for Stremex down there on the opposite side. Drogos, a bit of an iffy showing on Stone Keep in our last set. Jaguar Falls, definitely a map where you can work. Maeve Moji maybe going for the double M's here. I'll hold my breath. It is at least going to be Maeve.
Better start running.
Moji, we've seen Moji only a handful of times, but I feel like it's always been on Jaguar Falls, and it is going to be yet again.
Well, wheelchair accessible.
Part of the reason casting I like because he loves Moji.
Oh man,
he better be.
Yeah, hopefully. Part of the reason I like Jaguar Falls is because it's very, very open, and you can run a lot of stuff here. I think when you have an idea in your head that you want to run for kind of a death ball-y style, Moji actually brings a lot to the table: movement speed, extra sustain with her toot talent. Not exactly what Grover's lacking, so just kind of more of a good thing for this composition. She brings that execute, being able to turn somebody into a little doggy treat, whether it's Atlas, Inara, or Tyra, whatever high-value target needs to go can be gone. Kind
of an evil Mojo Jr., but with the instant execute, if you want to think of it that way. Well, Onslaught are your favorites going into this matchup. They drafted the Triple M's, Makoa, Maeve, Moji. It's going to be a lot of fun. Casters, take it away.
You're darn right, I'm casting Dave. My girl is here. Give her to me. Protect her at all costs. Moji is finally here. And game one, Onslaught versus Stremex. Let's get into it.
Onslaught's the team to beat in this region, the team to try and take down. Stremex are going to be the ones trying to climb that mountain today. And Moji, I'm going to tell you this. Moji can do really, really, really well on this map.
Right.
And most of the time, the only time I see teams pick her is when they know for a fact they are going to be pretty considerably in the lead. So I think keep your eyes on Ghost as he comes through. A lot of Mojis as well, typically running Toot, being able to kind of keep their team up, keep them healed up. And their loadouts, although, have been shifting a little bit more often. I'd love to be able to see what cards exactly Ghost is going to be running in his loadout for this one.
Yeah.
Just to see if maybe he's running something more oriented for him, if there's some dashes coming up. We'll see. So 50% health, while below 50% health, get increased healing, have 250 health. So a little bit away from Scoot, but it doesn't matter. It's still off to a hot start.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, my goodness. The Moji damage coming out so far. Oh, my goodness, my girl. She's tearing them up right now. The damage is coming through. Moji takes out 2 individuals, 3. That's what I like to see. Moji mains rise up all across the planet. 51% on the point as Onslaught is pushing them in currently. Drogos high up in the sky, but Moji, she's out for blood, looking for some damage. Magical barrier to go up to keep herself alive. Makoa is also pushing up as well. And I do like the Fernando pick as well, not to give all the spotlight to Moji, even though I am a little bit biased. I do like the Fernando pick. I do like the Makoa pick, being able to counteract those dragon punches. The Undying will be a huge factor to play for Fernando into this. So that's why I like them locking it a little bit early.
You know, you wouldn't know it based on the way the team fight went early on. But there are other champions on this team. I forgot Maeve was there, I'll be honest, because for the most part, after those kills, it became zone. Just get aggressive, kind of hold them back, find shots, dismount, capture the point. Easy peasy, 1, 2, 3, right? Now you're getting this. In tandem, the damage amp from both of these champions. I mean, Moji hits hard as is.
Right.
But you add on Maeve, who also hits hard as is. And between the two of them, that's a 1-2 shot. I mean, it's going to be a lot of clean kills, I believe, coming from Onslaught.
Yeah, I agree a lot. Very good movement coming out from Maeve. It seemed like Drogos really was trying to go in, but the wall came up. He went for Maeve's side to switch targets. Maeve actually moved up and out, making sure that she actually dodged most of what it was that she had to offer. Moji, once again, doing the damage it is that she could. The double kill finding its way for Grover as well. 4 ultimates online with Ancient Rage. Snack time ended up coming up, being sure that she chases down individuals. It was that Furia just ended up healing, giving her the bonus shielding on that Atlas, getting rid of that little snack time right there, managing to transform back into his normal self. And the rest of Onslaught, man, they're pushing it in.
And I mean, everything about this is just working out for him. Again, looking at everything coming through. Not only you have to burn through the shields, you have to burn through healing. Moji being able to keep herself immune has been keeping Ghost alive, is keeping him rolling forward. You have a 7 streak here for the Maeve as well. I mean, it's just, it's clean, it's crisp. Moji's died once, but again, like throughout her loadout, she's got a little bit of health for herself, a little bit of increased healing. And the other thing in there was, I believe I saw Harmonious Or it's just, here's some healing every time your magic barrier gets shot. Those kind of cards on Moji and this kind of matchup, I mean, what do you do against her?
Right,
almost
exactly.
nothing. Like, if you hit her, not only are you healing her, but you're putting a mark on yourself. You're dealing more damage against yourself. And then you get Ralkion to back you up in the event that Ghost isn't able to keep things rolling. Like, it's just a good tandem duo, let alone with the space the tanks are giving them. Like, their Onslaught are they're just good. That's the best way to word it.
Yeah, she's able to actually do a lot of damage, especially in those small choke points as well. Moji, really hard to be contested on this map. We do see Makoa and Moji are off on the side once again to make sure they can do something, get anything started. Tyra having to back off just a little bit, trying to figure out what was actually happening there for a second. The Dragon Punch actually comes in, Furia to heal, make sure 2 for the Atlas, 1 for the Drogos, and just to make sure they're actually forcing them back off of the point. Onslaught is being forced away from that fight right there. I actually do like the awareness from Stremex to be able to move over to the side, make sure that he's actually, not he, but they are being able to actually apply as much damage as possible, just outnumbering both Moji and Makoa on that flank.
Now here's the thing. You keep Ancient Rage, you keep Immortal, which is going to be a little shaky, but you, even with comeback mechanic, aren't going to be able to do too much. Going to get the touch, but Ghost stunned out, eliminated, burned down, and now is back in base while his team tries to capture this point.
Yeah, Ancient Rage to go through as well as the wall. They're using a lot of stuff just to make sure they can at least try to cap this, but they do get the kill on Furia, but Drogos also manages to kill their healer as well. Fernando's the next to go down. But at the same time, though, they are getting a little bit of control, but it's not going to be enough to net them this point.
I want to say maybe holding on to Immortal a little too long there overall. For using it when they needed it, but maybe not using it when they needed it a little earlier in the fight. When Dragon Punch came through, I didn't see the spacing on it, but I mean, having an Immortal just to be able to stop that, being able to consume that or force Drogos back, and not fighting a 4v5 at the very beginning would have been nice. Of course, it also has to be said, Ghost running in for the overtime touch, did get the touch, but was stunned out. So just a couple of scrambles, I think, from Onslaught there that really kind of lean more towards Stremex in the engagement.
They killed Drogo just a little bit too late. Grover with the whirlwind, trying to keep everybody alive as much as he can. Also give himself a little bit more movement speed so he can be able to move and try and maneuver his way away from the Dragon Punch. Killed him just a little bit too late. Fernando next to go down the hook on Atlas, though, is going to net them a kill 1-for-1. Stremex actually in a spot to where when they die, it'll be a lot harder for them to get back than where Onslaught is.
Crossfire comes out and melts a lot of stone, but not too many health bars in this case. As he just gets zoned out, now getting chased down. That should absolutely be an elimination between Maeve and a hard place, which the hard place happens to be Moji. The 2 M's burning them down. And again, there's a lot of damage on this team. The problem over their point fight really did just come down to how scrambled it felt. Like, they just weren't as coordinated as you would have liked to see. But the damage is actually in favor of Stremex right now, which is kind of mind-blowing to me.
It is. I mean, at the same time, though, I guess you sort of have to consider, despite the positive slash lines, that not only are you dealing with Drogas, but you're also dealing with Hunter's Party, with Tyra's Mark. So I guess that damage is just a little bit more to be able to blow up a lot of those frontliners, to make sure that they actually open up, crack open that shell that is Makoa, crack open that shell that is Fernando, be able to do just a little bit more. The rewind on Makoa, though, 1350 on a headshot. It's not only going to melt him, but it's going to make sure they also get the kill and might be able to push in with Grover Axes being the only thing that's left.
And there you see the slow-mo axe coming through the wall. It's going to nullify those shots and keep them under control. We have 20 seconds left on the clock to try and be able to find this. A couple of good daggers from Maeve could absolutely seal the deal, as well as maybe just getting a kill left or right. And you do get rid of Inara, which is an immense amount of pressure early on.
Yeah, I agree. 10 seconds left on the clock. It's going to push them all the way back behind the wall. Just pretty much give up the pressure just for a little bit. They do have 3 ultimates online, with really the Crossfire slowly building its way up. 5 ultimates online for Onslaught. And now here's what it is that I'm considering, is that in a situation where if you get outnumbered once again, you do have Moji to counteract what's actually going on. I did see the Inara on the flank that time. They didn't exactly prioritize point presence this round. So if so, I really could imagine if Inara's not ready for it, that the Moji ult will come out and we'll see a bunch of ults flying for Onslaught to make sure that they actually net this point for themselves.
Well, getting that defense puts them up 3-1 right now on the side of Onslaught. So comfortable. A lot of resilience is coming through. 4 here that are in the game. All 4 of them on the side of Onslaught to deal with any stuns, any control at all that is going to come through. And that's going to affect your Furia. That is going to affect your Atlas, I believe, as well as your Nara. So just keeping them alive, keeping them safe, keeping them engaged, and with their ults, maybe keeping them in the winner's seat.
We already see a little bit that they all decide to rush over this time. They are emphasizing the point fight a lot. You do hear that the Dragon's Punch is coming out a little bit sooner than they would have expected. Not enough time, but Moji makes sure that she actually cleans up the kill in that case, 1 for 1. Now we're going to see the flank is here, but the damage is coming through. My girl's tearing it up in the back line, making sure she actually can do what she needs to. Double kill, but really an unofficial triple. Tries to go for the ultimate. The rewind saves it just in a little bit of time. Actually was going to miss. Misses again. Unfortunately, the damage comes out on Atlas, gets the kill. Fernando finds one on Inara. That's a lot for Onslaught and might actually net them in this game with how many kills they're picking up.
The biggest thing and the biggest win for that fight was the Dragon Punch. Honestly, going on to Maeve. She takes a bullet for the team, keeps the front lines alive, lets them sit on the objective, and then Moji just goes and does Moji things on Jag Falls, which is eliminate anybody. Unfortunately, the first snack time gets rewound while it's in its animation. And the second one is just a hair to the left of where it needed to be. And while it's one of my favorite ults, that is kind of the big, I guess, missed opportunity with it, is you can miss. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see any biscuits. I guess dragon biscuits that game.
Yeah, I mean, that is a little bit unfortunate. She did hit the snack time before. I don't know if she actually managed to get the instant execute at all that game, but just the presence it was there was enough for them to actually net out that win with the pressure from everybody on the side of Onslaught. Now we see here 57,000 damage coming out from OG, the most on the team, but Ralkion's not to really be scoffed at either. The Drogo's playing a very pivotal role, Tyra also being a very pivotal role in that case. And really, you just see the damage itself is nothing too crazy. It's not anything to scoff at, though.
I think it is a showcase not only of what you had actually mentioned earlier, where it is the damage amp coming down from the Tyra, kind of inflating those numbers a little bit, but you have to look at, well, the healing numbers as well when you look at that kind of thing. 93,000 from just the Grover added. The 17K that is coming from the Moji. Granted, that's actually, considering how fast that game was, that's a pretty good chunk for Emoji, who goes 12, 4, and 7 and all of that. But that's kind of where it comes down to. The slash lines, even though you had the most damage on Stremex, not many of them were getting converted into kills. You only have 2 people going negative. One was 2 and 3, and the other one's 2 and 4. So you weren't killing them too often. And when you remove the Dragon Punches from that list, all of a sudden they're going potentially positive as well. Whereas 1 and 6, 0, 3, 4 and 7, the damage from Onslaught was just more on point.
Right, exactly. But the only one's a double digit is, of course, my girl Moji Ghost on at 57,000 damage, 794. But you just see the power it is that she has on Jaguar Falls. Not a lot of room to move, not a lot of room to really escape from the damage it is that she can do, which she does a lot of it, that much is for sure.
You know, there's not many better ways to start your Jag Falls map than to, get a triple kill, I believe, assist in killing off so many. There was the unfortunate moment when he gets rewound. There's a little bit of a treat. That is high-quality replay right there. That, honestly,
10 out of 10.
Get the rest of them out of there. Who cares about kills? Give me the dog biscuit going 100%. To the dragon.
Yeah, I love that. Just such pivotal Moji play. The most adorable thing ever. Protect her at all costs. Jaguar Falls was a good map for Onslaught, though they do manage to take a 1-0, which was good for them. We see a little bit of damage come out from pretty much everyone on the team. Just played overall so well. But right after this break, we'll be in the game 2.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Console League.
Well, it's 1-0 on the back of the Mo G in this case for Onslaught. Yeah, baby.
Oh, we're here, baby. It's Monday.
We're in it. It's Monday. It's Console League. Onslaught bring out the Moji. And they pretty convincingly win Jaguar Falls. Kind of the
I'm
only
gonna be
saving grace
Finch here for you. That's good work by you, Dave. It had to be said.
Easy for Dave. Easy for Dave. I'll also be Finch. If I could for a day, I would absolutely do it.
Finch for a day, our new series, kicking off.
Just a vlog of Finch walking around. I mean, it would be the same thing as us, just on Smite instead of Paladins. At that case, good game though from Onslaught. Honestly, if you look at those scoreboards, it was like some good play, but literally only Moji had like an attractive slash line there towards the end at 12-4, kind of the saving grace for Onslaught.
Definitely. Fun character to play, especially there's one like little mechanical thing that Ghost was doing very, very well on Moji, which is like the second you start to scamper, you actually cancel the ability, but you carry a lot of the momentum with you, and you can kind of be moving after somebody without having to worry too much about your auto attack slowing you down, still getting good damage all the while, hitting his snacks, actually eating the snacks. It's sometimes harder than it looks to actually connect and make sure that ultimate gets value.
It's kind of a meme, but Moji's actually a good pick.
She was recently reworked, and like nobody's really touched her too much since. Like diving really deep on that character to see if there's something there might be worth doing.
Might be worth doing. Good on some maps. Jaguar Falls was map 1, certainly viable on that one. Map 2, though, Bazaar. We got to see it earlier today. That was a fun one. I don't know if Moji works quite as well on Bazaar. Fun map to watch nonetheless.
Yeah, I love this one for sure. Newest map in the game, cool mechanics with the gates opening, as well as a fun dynamic of feeling like almost Frog Isle is not even really the right way to put it. It can feel constrained at times, a lot of ways to break line of sight, but at the end of the day, there are some line of sights that are absolutely huge enough to rock a sniper. You know, we've seen a decent amount of Knesset tricks on this map. Leon, almost undoubtedly a character to be locked in on Bazaar. So a lot of fun ways you can go with compositions, and where you try and force the fights to take happen can really determine, you know, what's going to be successful. What does a really good champion for this situation look like?
I think it was Io that we saw on this map earlier. The Ferocity Grover paired with the Io didn't really work out in dividends that time around. Con Victor, though, kind of fat Victor and then normal Victor for Onslaught here. You know, you're going to get good, consistent, direct damage out of those two. You know what you get with Victor. You pick him, you sit back, you do damage. Vivian much the same, though, especially when those Sentinels are out. Going to be shredding through some of those tanks.
Yep, she can absolutely kind of perform that same role a little bit if Ashe gets in front of Vivian. Or if diving in on her alone. We talked about those line of sights. Having a character like Ashe to dive on said character, whether that is Leon or that is Knesset or whatever it is, to shut it down and make sure you get something in their face. Anytime you leave one of these competitive players uncontested, their effectiveness just kind of goes to the roof.
Well, talk to me about Saris. Few and far between. 8% pick rate and 0% win rate. Is there some merit?
Absolutely. I think, again, for a lot of the reasons on this map in particular, if you're a Saris player, you know, even in the PPL, we have our, you know, Saris players. There's a couple of guys that do see the light, that don't think it's as bad. I mean, after watching that IO video, you really get a sense of, like, supports can have very different opinions. Supports are often the glue that helps sort of, you know, bring unity in that composition and look to support the way that they want to play. Damage Saris has been a thing on console before. That could be the way we lean. It could be focusing Lens Ying. But I know Wonderful in particular, he jumps out in my memory as somebody who played Damage Saris to great effect, but part of that is he's wonderful and he kind of does whatever he wants and wins.
Is Damage Saris or Damage Ying better?
I would say Damage Saris, personally.
Oh, we'll have to
I actually got Damage Saris nerfed before she came out.
How'd you do
so
it
I
to
spared
her?
you all. Wonderful still found a way to make it work, but I tried to mitigate the blood loss a little bit.
So we'll have to see which one it is. Could be Damage Saris, could be Damage Ying, could be a hybrid of the two. We're going to have to send it down to your casters for Game 2 to find out.
Game 2 is here. Nick with the subtle flex, letting us all know who we should be thanking thanks to that Damage Saris nerf. Bazaar, very interesting map. Normally we see some pretty cool stuff on Bazaar. Overall, mid-fights are really awesome. Just always controlling the high ground. There are literally fights everywhere. Literally, when is something not happening on Bazaar?
That's an incredible map, and I think the layout really does afford itself to the way the fights break out. It's just all over the place, and now we get to see potentially Soul Collector Saris, maybe focusing Lens Ying. We'll have to play the roulette wheel and see which one comes through. So far, it does actually look like it's the focusing Lens Ying, which is not what I was expecting to say coming into this. I was so set on this speech about Soul Collector and how it's worked and how it's looked really good. And so now I'm a little flabbergasted because I've not seen Focusing Lens Ying in a long time. I haven't seen it work in a while. But I expect if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Onslaught.
Yeah, Khan's going all the way in the back, but he might be in a pretty bad spot. The rest of Stremex was already, I mean, Vivian, you saw Vivian waiting to make sure that she could actually capitalize on that. Saw the Khan going all the way around. Nobody was responding, but she was able to turn around, and they might actually net the first kill. Don't know if they will. That Siphon being used for Terminus has to blow them back, make sure they actually don't do what it is they need to. Focusing Lens not focusing hard enough as Vivian is able to net that first blood for Stremex.
And you're going to see Ralkion get a lot of good damage this game when he comes back to life and gets back in the fight. Maybe we'll take a peek at what he's running to make this all work out. But as of right now, Onslaught are just trying to get this fight to work out. They do still have a considerable amount of damage, but I think they have the one combo that you need that is going to be hard to beat no matter what. And that is Barrack to stand on point, who's already survivable, and Saris, whose healing is going to be almost, not impossible, but very difficult to surpass.
Right, exactly. The Siphon goes up, keeps himself alive for just a little bit longer, but he will eventually go down, and that that kinetic burst actually ended up pushing him a little bit forward into a spot. Might be a little bit better for him. The damage is coming through for Damage Ying. Focusing Lens getting a little bit off. The Shatter is there as well. Groups up, manages to blow up the Vivian shield, but that's all it is they managed to get. Onslaught does get the first point for them on Bizarre.
Do you know how long it's been since I've seen Shatter actually shatter?
Right, yeah, actually kill someone, like actually try and kill someone.
I'd love to be able to switch over and look at what Ying is running here because, like, I'm assuming there's still going to be a little bit of brittle. No brittle as it comes down. Harmony heal for 65% of the damage dealt by Shatter, so you're focusing on that. And then when your illusions die to an enemy, you're going to reduce the cooldown, as well as activating illusion gives you ammo. So you're keeping your ammo topped off. You're making sure you have illusions that stay up, so whether they're meant for healing or for damage, you're always going to have something that Shatter will affect. And then, you know, the end-all, be-all of just trying to keep yourself alive.
Right. Exactly. They do try and pump Khan full of healing, but it's not enough to keep him alive, of course. Ghost goes down next. Double kill for Vivian. Going to force the rest of Onslaught back. Just going to have to back up just a little bit. The Illusionary Rift did go out to try and keep themselves more invested in the fight. It wasn't enough to keep them all alive, though, but we do have Convergence. We have the Barrage, Dome Shield, Overpower, and we have through time and space and a Sir Donalds as well. With the Enlightenment slowly building up after a couple more shots, she'll definitely happen.
This is still just one of the weird ones, I think, to be able to come through. It's interesting to see the amount of control Onslaught have garnished with just a little bit of damage coming down from this Ying. But it's also that moment, you can't really underestimate it. That mirror, the lens itself, hits a lot harder than you typically expect, I think, not only just coming from a Ying, but really in general in the middle of a fight. And you're not, especially with the way Ying has played lately, you're not actively thinking that much about Shatter in terms of the damage applications that it's going to have. So maybe an illusion next to you might catch you off guard.
Caught off guard. Leon in the bad place really just gets overpowered in that scenario. Ash is holding the flank right here, trying to make sure she actually doesn't let Khan just swarm in there. They did back him to a corner though, but the Battle Shout, nice awareness. Battle Shout's just at the right time. Gets himself not only healed up, but thanks to the Ying as well as the Saris, but allows himself to get rid of that stun. Make sure he doesn't actually die in that scenario. Waits a little bit, holds a grenade for a little bit longer, tosses it out, kills Terminus, and now Ash looks like she's going to be next.
You know, the entire conversation I've been having has just been, wow, look at this Ying. Holy crap, it's Ying. Wow, amazing Ying. But Ghost has switched over to this Victor and is just knocking things out of the park as well. I mean, it's been a lot of good damage from him, which is something you expect to see on a Victor nowadays. But it's just been consistent enough to make up for any and every deficit there might be involving the Ying. The other thing that's going to be interesting, and I wish I had paid more attention to it during that first round, is just how often Illusory Rift comes up, right? I believe that, you know, with the way things work, typically you get a little bit more bonus credits as well as, I think, charge more on what you're doing. So as a support, you need to heal to make sure you're getting it quickly enough. Same thing, Victor, damage is going to help you out there. And so Ying may be going to fall a little bit behind in terms of credits, but as of right now, you can see the items all still pretty much the exact same on their team as they take the lead in the economy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like level 2 cauterize on pretty much all of the individuals on Onslaught. They are bringing it up. Meanwhile, Stremex only has 2 level 2s, one being Record, the other being cauterized on their side as well. Barrage coming through, managing to find a kill onto the Leon. The shots are coming out from Victor. Might get the kill on Terminus, or if they don't get the kill, then they're at least going to force him back just a little bit. The Siphon to give himself a little bit more time to pretty much back up, swats that illusion out of the sky, and really just out of existence in that case. And Stremex, well, not Stremex, Onslaught finding 2 kills of their own.
You know, the best thing about running this damage Ying, and again, this is just not just to make it work here, but it's also moments like that where Terminus has to stop doing whatever he's doing to siphon the explosion that's about to hit him, or Terminus has to stop whatever he's doing to swing at the illusion. Bulldozer, I believe, is an item he picked up, and I think as of right now it was only him. But that's going to be good against those illusions, specifically because of that. But you forced him to buy Bulldozer 2 in a game where really it's going to affect, yes, Ying, and that's probably where it's going to be most effective, but it's going to affect the barrack turrets as well, just not as often if they keep getting used like this, where it's just a distraction. It's just, hey, look over here for a second, and then we'll pile damage onto you somewhere else.
Exactly. Leon's taking a few shots at the barrack, gets healed right back up to full. Khan's being a little bit too aggressive, is really low, has to battle shot to get himself out of there. Barrack does run up though. He does want to try and make sure he can get anything going, but through time and space, well placed, forces Ying out of the way. Genos finds a kill of his own onto Khan. They find 1 onto Ying as well. 2 are down, forcing the rest of Onslaught to pretty much back up, give the respect Stremex that they need. Okay.
Well, maintains that staircase. She's not letting anyone take control of it and is going to stay alive in the process. Well, maybe not 572 health. A couple of shots find his way as the healings come in. A lot of that is to not retake, but to maintain the ground they had, right? It seems like a silly ult, but no one could push him back any further, which was the only goal over there. And that is going to be one of those, well, at least attempted shots to make sure Ashe stays out of there. Ideally, she has to walk back the long way, but using some brilliant Ashe tech to get down to the ground as fast as possible, and then, of course, the dash to be able to come through, you at least stay somewhat in the fight.
Yeah, she's already back in there. The Overpower wasn't actually able to do what she needed to, but Shoulder Bash not going to keep her alive long enough. A few shots from everyone on Onslaught is pretty much racking up kills for himself. Grover, well, not Grover. I thought it was Grover because I saw the axe, well, the sword or the axe,
swing.
really. Yeah, the swing. And I was like, okay, well, it must be Grover. But literally, Grover's not even in this game. Regardless, they do kill Terminus.
Little did you know that it was the other axe, the Massacre axe that was coming through. And, well, subsequently not living up to its name. I don't believe I would call anything Terminus did in that game a massacre. But that's technically the name, so he at least has that going for him.
Yeah, I mean,
it sounds menacing.
Yeah, it does sound menacing. Not much,
and
is for sure.
It certainly hurts some illusions.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. With Bulldozer 2, there's literally nothing it is that Ying can do, or Barrack's turrets. No illusion or turret is safe from the Terminus axe of power. And in that case, regardless of all that, Onslaught does manage to net their second game, it being 2-0 currently for them. Just very well played. They had the good positioning. They had the good damage, and the focusing lanes, Ying did pull out some cup kills.
Was able to find the win, and of course, when it comes down to it, I mean, I wish we could separate what damage was the focusing lens, what was the kind of shatter illusion, but in terms of damage dealers, was not exactly high up there, but in terms of healing that damage dealers do, I guess technically higher, always going to be because she's a support.
Yeah.
67,000 there for Ghost, and while Ralkion, I think it was in there, this is one of those things. This is Onslaught in my mind. Not picking this because they think it's going to be broken, but 7-2-11 is a pretty solid slash line. Way more than what I thought I was going to see with that damage number. But it is we know we're really strong. We can pick maybe whatever we want here. And we'll show you that by picking Focusing Lens Ying, which I genuinely can't recall the last time I saw that in a competitive game.
I mean, I can't even think of one either, but look at the Saris, dude. 0, 0, and 16. That is a support's dream right there. That is literally what you could imagine to be a support's dream, other than also being 7, 2, and 11 in Ralkion's case, running the Ying focusing lens. Like you said before, I can't even remember a time where I've casted in my very short time where I've seen focusing Ying, even as somebody bringing it out for fun.
It's not a typical choice.
Yeah.
But again, it's some sleeper damage. It's not going to be as much as you saw, but that's 90 a tick that you're going to see this laser hit for. And,
oh my
well,
gosh.
yeah, when you're hitting like that, when you have a little bit of illusion damage as well, it adds up. that was the pre-round ceremony. Man, I don't think there's anything that's a good huddle right there. That's a good huddle. Good huddle, Onslaught. That's good.
Raise the morale Ying is doing for sure.
Everybody.
Yeah, everyone come circle around. Let us
Here's the game plan. Belly dance our way to victory.
Yes, of course. The 7-2-11 Ying, Rakion being so powerful in that case. With that being the case, however, though, Onslaught being up 2-0, we'll have to come back right after this break to see if they can close this one out.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Console League.
Well, if you just woke up from a 5-minute nap and wondering why we are not on Bazaar right now, it's because Onslaught absolutely blew Stremex out of the water on that one with a focusing lens. Ying, nonetheless. Very fun one to watch there. Onslaught continues their tear, now just one game away from sealing out the set. It's a fun one to watch, Nick. We got to see a little bit of damage Ying in this case. I think it's the second case of damage Ying over the last week or so, and I guess there's a little bit of merit to it.
Yeah, when you have mitigation like that, whether it be healing or whether it be some type of shielding, a support with a damage option paired with another support, you have that much healing in the early game, you really do set yourself up to potentially snowball and just win a game that fast. It can be very difficult to play against. Ying in the early game can be, especially with focusing lens, can be one of the best just box you out type of characters because she has so much self-sustain that she doesn't have to stop dealing damage to you to get, right? Once she gets set up and rolling, it's really all over for you.
I gotta say, though, I mean, sometimes these, potentially 3-0 matches are somewhat hard to watch. I mean, they're so one-sided, but Onslaught, I don't know, playing around a little bit, showing that they're very flexible, kind of anything that they're going to throw out seems to be working right now. So as we head into map 3, I'm very excited to see what maybe they have in store for us. Bright Marsh, that certainly opens up the door to a lot of possibilities. 4-1, of course, map 1. 4-0 there on Bazaar. And if history has anything to say about it, likely a quick one here for Onslaught. Stremex, though, they do have bright spots. They have had moments where they fought back a good team. We've been able to watch them, I think, once or twice in the past, and a team with a lot of talent. So you can't count them out of this one, though, but Bright Marsh certainly has its opportunities for some interesting compositions.
Yeah, this is going to be loser's pick. So Stremex better be damn good at this map because they've opened themselves up to another potential, Jaguar Fallsy type of scenario where if Onslaught can get some type of very snowbally composition, Bright Marsh can end, in the blink of an eye.
If it were Ice Mines, it would probably end in the blink of an eye. It's been a coin flip on Ice Mines. Heads, it's a 4-0. Tails, it's a 4-3. We hit Tails today. Vivian for Onslaught, first on the board here for Bright Marsh. Atlas Talus banned out for Stremex on the opposite side. Tyra not available, or Khan as well. They're going to opt for the Drogos here, putting a little bit of Luminary behind that. I think that's a fine pick here for Bright Marsh. That aerial control, certainly something that you have to deal with.
Yep, not a lot of easy damage amp left on the table for them. Vivian can, if close enough, deal with the Drogos. The damage amp, especially if you have Sentinels rolling and Opportunity and Chaos, even from, like a mid-range standpoint character, that damage is going to begin to add up. Another Fernando. He's, going to be seeing some changes in the coming patch. So
100% win rate.
He's
unbeatable.
Could be a character on the upswing. It has a lot of that sustain if you play him right as well. He's had that for a while. It's just a matter of, kind of like we said with Moji, people revisiting the character every once in a while to dig around and sniff for any maybe diamonds in the rough.
Well, him and Mako are going to be going toe-to-toe with Ash Barrick on the opposite side. All right, at a glance, nothing too out of the ordinary here for Onslaught. They're going to pick up the Mave, pair that with the Vivian. The Mave worked out pretty well for them on Jaguar Falls, and the Grover has worked for a lot of teams here today, so I imagine Onslaught would be no difference. Maybe a Koga here for Stremex, and that is how they're going to round out their 5. Interesting pick. What are your thoughts on Koga and where he's at?
Well, Koga's in an okay spot right now. Not totally in, not totally out, but given the targets I'm looking at for him, Maeve can just run away. I don't think, that would have been his best matchup. But running into a backline with Vivian and Grover, likely to be, hand in hand. Frontliners aren't great targets for flankers for the most part either, so he's going to have to pick and choose his battles.
He's got an uphill fight, and as do Stremex if they want to come back in this one. Onslaught up 2-0 as we head down to Brightmarsh and head down to your casters for Game 3.
It's the second game that we've actually seen Koga being used on Brightmarsh, and I was saying it before that if there's one thing it is that PCL has exposed to not only me but to a few others and just to everybody is that hit scan is really important. So the Koga I actually agree with, even though we never see him.
Yeah, he disappeared for a while there. I can't remember if it was earlier. This phase, I know for a fact last year he was around a lot for console and has been very prominent. In fact, there was a period of time where he was almost always banned, and now he's maybe creeping his way back into the meta. Unfortunately, he's going to have a lot of work to be done. One of the best things about him is cleansing Tyra marks whenever he uses his dash, things like that. There's no Tyra in the game, though, so you're not going to be looking at that benefit. You're going to be looking at him really just trying to deal with this Mave, try to deal with this Vivian, and potentially try to chop down the Grover as well if given the opportunity. You can do some good damage, but he's going to need a little bit more, I think, to get things rolling to make sure this is secure for Stremex.
Few shots are coming through. The agility being used every now and again, making sure he stays fast, is able to rotate how he needs to. But the hook onto him is going to mean a lot. He's going to have to dash away just a little bit, make sure he doesn't actually get cornered in that scenario. Finds a little bit of damage on the Makoa, though. That's going to mean a lot, but thank God for that dash. It actually allowed him to be able to escape that scenario. Daggers coming out from Maeve, pretty much uncontested, and in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Both Barry and Drogos go down.
Ralkion coming around the side is going to be able to lock him down at least a little bit. And he's going to be able to find the trace as well. The last dagger connects right there, and they're going to get a good solid zone off of it as well. A couple of good shots here, and now Onslaught just capture it. Keep themselves rolling forward.
Rockets are coming through onto the Makoa, just a little bit in that choke point. He's got the back off, make sure he doesn't get hit all of the time. But with Onslaught already capping the first point on Brightmarsh, they could potentially not necessarily push us in yet, but we already see the aggressive zone as they have, so they might be able to push us in.
Some good shots, good grouping overall. Beautiful hook from the Makoa. Again, there's not a lot of hazardous areas on the map where things like that can work. But when you get one and you make it work, you're doing your job right. I guess is the only real way to word it here for the tanks. They find the kills in any way and every way possible. They're just, again, rolling this payload forward. Almost no snags to their name yet.
176 health left onto the Drogo. It's going to have to back up into the spawn, get a little bit more damage. Another hook. How many? Oh, wait. Oh, I see. It was very, very good and very well played by Ash. She actually got pulled over, but used the kinetic burst to knock him off, keep herself up and alive. At the same time, though, I feel like Makoa may have just misjudged the distance a little bit, which is why she still didn't go off the side.
Still being able to do that. That's going to be one of those moments. I don't bring this up as often, but when you're in the lead and when you've been playing the way Onslaught has, items do make sense. And with one capture point means you've got 300 extra credits. With how many kills and how much pressure they've gotten, should have enough to be able to potentially return to this fight with another item. So I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe look for another kill. This Dragon Punch is anywhere but on a target.
Yeah, I mean, he was... I guess he didn't want to take the risk of actually moving into the choke point, going around the corner to make sure he got one of those tanks. He wanted to make sure he went for the Mave. Ralkion still goes down, though, with Koga being killed just a little bit before that by Fernando. Dome Shield, make sure they hold their ground as best as they can. Rockets are coming out from Stremex as well, trying to live as best as they can, but I don't even really know what happened. I feel like they just got a kill on Genos, and evidently that just allowed them to push it in.
I mean, sometimes that's all you need.
Well, yeah,
right?
I mean,
a little bit of zone. It's where Stremex is fighting. They weren't prioritizing the payload as much, and it's one of those mentalities. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe enough people seem far away, and theoretically can't get there. But Maeve is fast, and I think the same can be said for a lot of them. There's a lot of dashes, a lot of abilities to close space on the side of Onslaught, and so you can never truly leave the payload alone. or even with just one person as they come through. The damage numbers are on their side. The economy's on their side as of right now with the 2-0. And so you're going to be looking at Onslaught potentially closing out this set if they can just do it one more time.
Yeah, I mean, already a pre-5-minute round, let alone this could potentially be a pre-10-minute game, which would be extremely fast. Now, the rest of Stremex playing a little bit more aggressive on these flanks, not really allowing Maeve to throw out those daggers, and before it's what we saw last round, she was just tossing them. Literally no care in the world. Drogo's not able to contest. Koga and Ash not able to contest either, but the hook on the Koga is going to mean a lot, especially now that Ralkion knows that one of them is down. There's only one person remaining on the flank. Ash goes down as well. 51% on the point for Onslaught. Might be able to captain.
That awkward moment where normally you see the hook kind of set up your team.
Yeah.
And that one, it just stripped the kill for Koga away from Ralkion, although he's going to still be running through. Dragon Punch going to be coming in, and it's just going to fly on by. Does connect this time around. Solaire going to trade his life out for it, though. 96 is looking like 100.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, though, you kill the Vivian, but you lose your own damage in response to that. The rest of them are pretty much sitting easy, just staying on the point, making sure that they don't actually allow Stremex to get any momentum. One of them was down through time and space to find something. These through time and space have been used rather defensively to make sure they actually don't end up dying, but at the same time, Koga forced to use good ult, but not enough to net him anything, being forced off just a little bit. And the kills are still coming up blue despite everything that Stremex used to make sure they could get something started.
I mean, almost for everything they tried to use, there was something in response. A lot of it was just control, the good old-fashioned way of just, okay, we'll back off a little bit, let you have a little bit of pressure here instead of staying too aggressive and losing our own lives. And then Cyclone Strike comes out, and it's going to be met with an Immortal. It's going to be met with, not a Whirlwind, but just heals in general from Grover to be able to match it. And the damage numbers that are coming out from Stremex just aren't high enough to withstand the life pools that are on the side of Onslaught.
Yeah, I mean, what can they do in this scenario? 44,000, 42,000, just slightly being overcome by the Ashe in that case. I think you would never expect to see second damage in the game being the Ashe in that scenario. Maeve still doing a lot of damage. Her daggers are chunky. She's been sitting easy pretty much for most of this game. The Dome Shield does go down as well. 1 minute, 30 seconds left on the clock, but it looks like the Onslaught might just be able to make this a quick pre-game, pre-10-minute game.
Not much else to really crack into.
What else?
I mean, Koga was, 0-6, I believe, by the end there. The damage dealers, I mean, you highlighted it. It's awesome that Ashe is doing the most damage on your team, but you've got a Drogos and a Koga.
Right,
Ashe shouldn't be doing the top damage
Yeah.
on your team. You have some guys that should be putting their names up there, and I just think there wasn't enough pressure coming from the rest of the crew to really internalize that, whereas if you look on the other side for Onslaught, there was such overwhelming pressure that nobody could really do anything on the side of Stremex to crack it down.
Right, exactly. I mean, like, the pressure was that Onslaught just had, the momentum from last game, the momentum from this game is just too much. I should say the momentum from last game that carried over in the Bright March. Clearly, 54,000 damage for Ghost, 46,000 damage for Ralkion, and, I mean, what else really can you say? 48,000 for the Ashe, but, I mean, you had said it, I had said it. Why is she doing the most? You have a Drogos, you have a Koga, you have what you need. 2 and 4, 0 and 5, and 2 and 4 for Ashe. In that case, 5 and 2 for Ralkion, 5 and 0 for the Fernando, 2 and 0. Just so many positive slash lines on Onslaught's side is going to net them this win.
And there's just a lot of control. I mean, Vivian being able to do that much damage, Ralkion being able to follow up on any set damage with a kill, Onishi being able to stay alive and stay aggressive. You have Swarmshi being able to go through and get hooks. Like, it's just the whole team came together as just a perfect meal, right?
Right,
exactly. Came down to it. Everything was flavored the exact way they wanted to, garnished the exact way they wanted it to, and they kept things rolling for them. As, I mean, again, anybody and everybody on this team you could have highlighted for this one. Fernando had just as big an impact, if not maybe bigger, because of the Immortal.
Yeah, he ended up hearing, I guess, something to make sure that they actually could push in a little bit longer. You saw Maeve dash in above head just to make sure she was in that Immortal range to make sure that she didn't actually go down. But ends up falling anyway, but still, the Fernando pick just being so strong actually moves out the way. Unfortunately, rest in peace, F in chat for Vivian. He moves out of the way just for Vivian to come in and get slapped by Dragon Punch, which is unfortunate, but they still end up winning the game, though.
I mean, being able to keep that amount of control. Again, the Dragon Punch is good, but it's that risk versus reward, right? Yeah, you're going to get a kill. If you get a Makoa there, if you get get rid of Fernando there, maybe it's worthwhile. But the problem is you're trading off your life for it, and that's always the biggest thing is what are you getting, and is it worth what you're giving? And that's why a lot of the time we will see teams completely pull out. Like you'll be like, you know what? I'm not going to hit this Dragon Punch. I'll just maintain the 30%, fall back. But in his case, he committed and, well, paid for it.
Paid for it. They did the first match, and North America is down. Onslaught currently up. Well, not currently up. Finishing the game with a 3-0 in that case. But right after this break, we'll get right into the next and final set of the day.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins console league.